I need to tell you about the time I almost got someone fired over a pizza. True story. I was 22, working at a coffee shop. The manager, his name was Marcus, he was one of those genuinely good bosses, the kind who remembered your mom's name, who covered your shift when you were sick without making you feel guilty. One night, we closed up, and Marcus had left a leftover pizza in the break room, said anyone could have it. I took a slice, maybe two. Then the next morning, the owner shows up, sees the pizza box, asks who ate from it. And here's what came out of my mouth. I think Marcus said it was fine. Not a lie, technically. He had said that, to me, the night before. But when the owner asked Marcus about it, Marcus thought I meant he'd eaten it. So he apologized, took responsibility, got written up. And I didn't correct it. Because correcting it would have meant saying, actually, I ate it, I just made it sound like you. That's not a lie, right? That's just not telling the whole truth. That's the lie I want to talk about today. Not the big ones, not the ones you plan, the ones that slip in through the back door of a sentence, the ones that feel like survival. Here's what we usually think lying looks like. Someone looks you in the eye and says something they know isn't true. Villain music, dramatic reveal. But most lies don't look like that. Most lies look like optimizing, like framing, like I just didn't mention. You ever tell a story about why you were late and you leave out the part where you were scrolling your phone for 15 minutes in the car? That's not a lie, you say. The traffic was bad. Yeah, but... You ever post a photo and think, that's not really what I looked like that day, but you post it anyway. That's not a lie, it's just lighting. But here's the thing about lies that small. They train you. Every time you reshape reality just a little to protect your image, to avoid a conversation, to make yourself look better, you're not just lying to other people. You're teaching yourself that the truth isn't safe. And that's the real poison. Because once you believe the truth isn't safe, you stop even noticing when you're bending it.
Let me take you back to a guy named Abram. This is Genesis chapter 12. And Abram, later God changes his name to Abraham, but right now he's just Abram. He's supposed to be this father of faith, hero of the story. And he gets to Egypt, and he looks at his wife, Sarai, and she's beautiful. And he thinks, the Egyptians are going to see her, they're going to want her, and if they know she's my wife, they'll kill me to get her. So he says to her, say you're my sister, which is not entirely a lie. She is his half-sister, technically, theologically, by blood, distantly. But here's what he's doing. He's taking a sliver of truth and using it to hide a mountain of deception. He's not lying, he's just strategically omitting that she's also his wife. And it works. Pharaoh takes her. Abram gets sheep and cattle and servants. The lie pays dividends. Except, and this is the part of the story we rush past, Sarai is in someone else's household. Abram gets rich, she gets taken. And God has to send plagues to fix what Abram's half-truth broke. Here's what gets me. Abram doesn't even seem to feel the lie as a lie. He convinced himself it was self-defense, protection, a little bending of reality to survive. Sound familiar? We don't usually lie because we're evil. We lie because we're afraid. And fear is an incredible storyteller. It tells you, this is just survival. Everyone does this. You're not hurting anyone. But the first person a lie convinces is the one who tells it. Let me tell you about my friend Jenna. Not her real name, but the story's real. Jenna was up for a promotion, and in the interview, her boss asked, "How comfortable are you with data analysis?"
Jenna knows Excel basics, pivot tables, she can find her way around. But real analysis? SQL? She's never touched it. And she says, pretty comfortable. I've done a lot with spreadsheets. Again, not a lie. She has done a lot with spreadsheets. But the question wasn't about spreadsheets. The question was about data analysis, and she knew it. She got the promotion, and then she spent 6 months terrified. Every meeting, waiting to be found out. Every email with an attachment, stomach-dropping. She wasn't lying on paper, but she was living a lie. And here's the part she told me later, crying in my kitchen at midnight. The worst part isn't that I lied. The worst part is that I don't even know who I am in that job anymore. I'm just performing what I said I was. That's what lying does. It's not just that you deceive others. You start performing a version of yourself that doesn't exist. And the longer you perform it, the further you get from the person who doesn't have to perform at all. Jesus said, "The truth will set you free." But we don't usually think about the corollary. Lies put you in a smaller room. Every lie draws a smaller circle around your life. Eventually, you're living in a space so small you can't even stretch your arms out. So, let me pull 3 things out of these stories. 1, lying isn't just about saying what's false. It's about distorting what's real. And when you distort reality long enough, you lose the ability to recognize it. 2, the most dangerous lies are the ones we tell to protect ourselves, not the malicious ones. The ones we tell because we're scared of what happens if we're seen as we really are. Those lies don't just deceive, they fortify fear. They build a wall between you and the kind of life where you don't have to calculate every word.
3, and this one's harder. A lot of us are living lies we don't even know we're telling. The lie of being fine when you're not, the lie of having it together when you're falling apart, the lie of certainty when you're full of doubt. We call those boundaries or privacy. Sometimes they are, but sometimes they're just fear wearing respectable clothes. The question isn't, do you lie? The question is, where have you stopped telling the truth, even to yourself? So what does honesty actually look like? Not the idealized version, the messy one. It looks like saying, "I don't know," in a meeting when everyone expects you to have the answer. It looks like, "I'm not okay," when someone asks how you're doing, and the socially correct answer is fine. It looks like going back to Marcus years later and saying, "I let you take the blame for something I did. That was wrong. I'm sorry. I did that, by the way, last year." Found him on LinkedIn, sent him a message. He wrote back, "I always wondered about that. Thank you." It took me a decade to tell a truth that would have taken 10 seconds at the time. That's the cost of lying. Not just the lie itself, but the years you spend carrying the weight of the story you told instead of the one that happened. Truth is costly, but lies are expensive. They charge interest. I've been thinking about the Garden of Gethsemane lately. Jesus, the night before he died, and he prays, "Father, if you're willing, take this cup from me." That's honest. That's raw. That's not the polished Jesus of stained glass windows. That's a man saying, "I don't want this." But then he says, "Not my will, but yours be done." He doesn't lie about what he wants. He just places it inside something bigger. That's the kind of truth I'm reaching for. Not the brutal kind that uses honesty as a weapon. Not the passive kind that stays silent to keep peace. But the kind that trusts that reality, even the hard parts, even the embarrassing parts, even the parts that make you look weak, is safe enough to stand in. So here's my question for you. And I'm not asking it like a preacher. I'm asking it like someone who's still learning to answer it myself. Where have you been performing instead of living? What would it cost you to stop? And what might it give you back? No rush. Just sit with it. This is Ebby. Take me to church. See you next time.